Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day. To start things off, Ripple's infrastructure development and XRP adoption initiative known as Spring announced a 1 billion XRP, around 265 million US dollar grant to web monetization platform known as Coil yesterday. Coil will reportedly use the funds to build an ecosystem of creators, developers, companies, and nonprofits that use XRP through the Web Monetization Open Standard. Coil is a platform that provides an alternative method for creators to monetize their content on the internet. Users can post public and exclusive content on the platform, which is automatically enabled for streaming payments. Alternatively, creators can monetize their own websites by simply adding a tag. Coil CEO Stephen Thomas commented, and I do quote, "Creators want more choice and control over how their content is monetized and distributed. Web monetization provides a solution that is more fair, open, and inclusive for creators and fans around the globe," end quote. This was incredibly popular around 12 to 16 hours ago. It was just about on every single major news platform that I could possibly find. I think it's cool that they're doing this. I think it's smart of them, the Ripple company, the Ripple team, the people from Spring, the people from X, everything else, that they're doing this. I feel like, on the same exact note, not in a negative sense, it's more so, remember I was saying a couple of days ago that I feel like that just about every other coin, not just Ripple, had at some point received a letter from the SEC telling them to decentralize more, to figure out, yada, 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 how to expand the network and the platform and the so and so and so. And this is why I think myself, why they decided to give away, I think it came out to, it was 1 billion XRP, which is the amount of money, or the amount of XRP that's released every month from the escrow that they have, from the 60-month revolving escrow. So I assume this was, or is, or could be an attempt at them trying to make sure that they get more XRP into the system so that they still control less and less, so that we finally get to that golden tipping point of where the Ripple team, as it were, controls less XRP than the actual community themselves. This is what it kind of feels like. I feel like announcing, or rather giving away, an entire 1 billion XRP is a very specific number. It's also the exact number that it gets released, like I said, every single month from the escrow. So kind of cool. Let's see if this actually blossoms into anything. Not to give it a hint of negativity. It's more like, I mentioned this before about 3 or 4 videos back. We keep hearing about these major initiatives across the board. It's not just Ripple, it's not just Ether, it's not just Tron, it's not just so and so and so, even Cardano, what have you. It's that we keep hearing that all this money is flowing around, but we see no actual, I want to say, movement in price. We hear about development that's happening behind the scenes, but we never really know exactly how far this ends up going. So the point is, like I said, this was major news. Everyone was completely losing their minds over this. 1 billion XRP has been donated or granted to Spring. And yeah, let's move on. Next up, the United Kingdom's widely circulated Metro news publication has published a surprisingly bullish article explaining Bitcoin for its millions of readers. The article is scant in details, but does feature a full Bitcoin explanation video. The overall tone of the clip is incredibly optimistic for Bitcoin's long term. Rather than caution against its use, it seems to encourage it, explaining in the simplest possible terms and providing information on how to buy the crypto asset. We love seeing the mainstream media approach Bitcoin with an open mind. Earlier this year, much of the industry celebrated as it made a convert on CNBC anchor Joe Squawk Kernan. I hope that's not his full name. Elsewhere, other non-crypto publications have been providing a much more balanced view of the industry as it continues to mature. So here's the actual website right here. I literally can't even scroll down on the page because they want my cookies. They're not getting my cookies. So this is all that we are going to be able to see. It's very fascinating. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen Metro before. If you live in a place where there is a Metro, the train transportation system, as you walk into the Metro, you usually get handed one of these papers. The same thing happens in London. There's usually 15 people trying to hand you these as you walk into. Anyway, the point is, remember I spoke about the shift that we've been experiencing. No one, save 3 or 4 people, talk negatively about Bitcoin anymore. When people talk about Bitcoin, it's either related to the price and where the price could go. It's about the current adoption. It's about the current usage. When we hear about it on CNBC, it's usually people saying, oh, well, Bitcoin has been moving up as this has been going down in the other parts of the world. It's a bit of a shift, and I knew that this shift was going to happen, but I assumed it would have happened in around 2 years once the Bitcoin price had gone a lot higher, and it was a little impossible or a bit more impossible for everyday people to kind of acquire even a tenth of a Bitcoin. But it seems to be happening at a more accelerated pace, and I wonder exactly who, and I'm pretty sure I won't find out the exact name, who owns Metro, who exactly, because someone has to give the thumbs up for an article like this. Someone has to, in essence, in some way say, yes, you can do this. And I wonder why we're seeing more news publications around the world. We just also had the other, what's it called? Fire, Red, Blue. Those are Pokemon games. What was the name of the other UK newspaper? The Sun. Yeah, The Sun? Herald. The Sun. Something along those lines a couple of days ago also just had a similar thing as well, where they were talking about the benefits of Bitcoin and how great Bitcoin was and how you can buy Bitcoin and what Bitcoin is and where the Bitcoin price went. It's very odd. I think Bitcoin is already a household name, but it seems like the millionaires now who run news publications, whether that be physical paper or stuff on the internet or on the news, are trying to make sure that people understand a bit more what it is, or that they have it into their heads. Because what this does, especially to the general public, or more so to anyone out there who's even paying attention to Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies at all, is that when you have the name in your head, when you've read something in a little snippet as you're going to work and you hear about it and your other coworkers end up talking about it, your other friends end up talking about it, and you hear that the price goes up on the news or in the same exact newspaper that you were reading just a couple of days ago, you end up going, well, how do I buy some of that? And then we get into that same situation where we had in 2017, when an enormous amount of people got into the market. They were only able to buy fragments, but they saw that they had made money as the price was continuing to go up. Even as the price went down, people forgot about it. I have a couple of family members who I think still own tiny fractions of cryptocurrency, but they still think about it. They still ask me sometimes, how's it going? They saw the price was going up a couple of months ago when the prices were going up, and they're like, how can I buy more? Does that website that you told me about still work? And this kind of gets the gears moving, because many of the cryptocurrencies that we have out there are deflationary in nature, or they are at a set amount, 21 million, 84 million, blah 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 blah, so and so and so. It's very fascinating how the mind works, and how we're finally seeing news outlets now talking about Bitcoin in a positive manner, because it was not this way a couple of years ago. It was just constant fear. It was just Bitcoin was only used for negative things, and now we're getting, what's Bitcoin? How does it work? Do you want to buy some? Kind of a weird shift, Next up, enterprise blockchain developer R3 announced on the 14th of August that it intends to open a second European office in Dublin in 2020. This comes just weeks after doubling the size of its London hub as part of an aggressive expansion plan. The new office will serve as a tech hub, staffed largely with engineering specialists working closely with existing London team. R3 has embarked on a hiring mission, which aims to increase its global headcount by around 1/4. As well as the Dublin engineers, this will include commercial and client-facing roles around the world. Dublin has been increasing in popularity as a tech hub, positioning itself as a successor to post-Brexit London with low corporate taxes and other benefits. R3 CEO David Rudder said, "We chose Dublin because of the deep pool of existing blockchain and technical skills in the city, as well as its close connections to our existing hub in London," end quote. So here's R3 is massive. For those of you who have never heard of R3, just a simple, I think this is mainly, they what they're trying to do is create a blockchain ecosystem that encompasses the entire world, or just about every single major financial institution that could potentially be out there. On the screen, it says they're trying to not gain control of, but they're trying to permeate into capital markets, digital assets, digital identity, which is going to be a very weird dystopian thing that we're all going to have to deal with in about 5 or 6 years. Energy, global trade, government technology, healthcare, insurance, and telecommunications. The idea is that in the future, everything will work seamlessly together. I'm pretty sure you've heard of like the Internet of Things. People sometimes use that phrase, but normally it's the word that you'll hear being toted around is interoperability. I think the term Internet of Things didn't really catch on. It does sound a little weird. The point is that the idea is when the world is covered in blockchain and everything is connected, information will be able to be sent as quickly as we can send a text or that we send an email, because at this moment, it's simply not the same exact way. So if you are in the hospital and you have, let's say you're in Texas and you are from Hong Kong and you're like, I need my medical records to be sent over. They have to call the hospital. They have to ask you for your name. They have to so and so. They have to blah, 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 blah. This has to take a couple days to be sent to them to know exactly what medications you're allergic to, because you can tell them what you're allergic to, but they really don't want, they won't be able to know. But in the future, in a more, once again, potentially dystopian manner, a lot of people believe that we will simply have, a little weird, bracelets, something similar to an Apple Watch that will be able to scan. It'll have your medical records already on it. Or you'll simply be able to tell the doctor what your name is. They'll be able to find immediately on a large system, the R3 system, what you have, so and so, what your name is. Show them your passport. They link it to you in a matter of seconds. They know exactly what you need, what kind of medical help you desire in your current situation. The idea is that everything is going to be integrated. And R3 thus far has been very aggressive in their expansion plans. And I feel like the next story is really funny how life works again. I feel like R3 is going to be a major player in this, and I think they're not even that they're going not against the curve, but I think they're doing what they should be doing in a relatively quiet manner. And at this point, they have an enormous amount of customers who have kind of it's a little bit like the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. A huge consortium of companies who have already agreed to start using their platform or already using their platform, whatever the actual case might be. They're also trying to, I know that they're trying to be a payment platform as well. And I think that this could be the precursor to something that we're trying to see take over Swift. Simply because a lot of people within the States don't like having to use Swift. Other European countries don't like Swift. Countries in the Middle East don't like Swift because they're not part of the network. And R3 is trying to be a worldwide, global digital assets, capital markets, digital identity system that kind of ties everything all together. Here are just some of the companies. I tried to look for a complete partner list, but it's very difficult to find. You can see Citibank, you can see Bank of America, you can see Commerce Bank. I think they're also partnered with Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken. I think IBM is also one of the other companies who are part of the R3 Corda. I said it right. Corda platform. I thought I said it anyway. The point is, I'm expecting them to do better than other platforms, and this once again ties directly into the next story. The Winklevisor in the news. Payment solution Flexa is going international with a Canadian market launch. Flexa, which launched the United States edition of its SPEDN, it's the word spend but misspelled, cryptocurrency wallet in mid-May, announced its Canadian expansion in the official blog post. Backed by cryptocurrency exchange Gemini, Flexa's international movement is preceded by both support for cryptocurrencies Litecoin and Zcash, and the launch of an Android beta mobile app earlier this summer. Functioning like a pipeline for commercial transactions, SPEDN processes regular purchases in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ether, Bcash, or Flexa coin. Today, SPEDN is now open to Canadians on both iOS and Android. The post claims 7,500 Canadian merchants will be onboarded by early September. With all funds insured and custodied by Gemini, Flexa says Canadian and US users can use SPEDN in either country free of conversion fees or exchange rate issues. Cool. What I think is happening, and bear with me for a second. You've been with me since 2017. You know exactly how I feel about this. If you've been with me since maybe mid-2018, I didn't mention it as much. I was trying to pull back, but it just seems like everything I was saying is simply coming true. I believed from the get-go that everything that the Winklevis did was extremely boring. No matter what they launch, no matter what they do, no matter how they try to expand, it's always very sluggish. And that's not to say that Flexa or Spedin won't be extremely popular. However, what the Winklevis are trying to do with Flexa and Spedin, as far as having, for those of you who have no idea what Spedin is or Flexa, a couple of months ago we had information that apparently there is a partnership between, oh gosh, what are they? Starbucks, Whole Foods, I want to say Trader Joe's, I feel like that's incorrect, and a bunch of other places who have agreed to start accepting cryptocurrencies as a payment option through Flexa and Spedin. And everyone was like, wow, that's cool, that's awesome. And then I sat back and I was like, that's almost the exact same thing that the people from Bakkt are trying to do. The people from Bakkt are the people from the New York Stock Exchange who are also, not only are they making a cryptocurrency exchange, they're also making physical Bitcoin futures. And the third part of Bakkt is that they're going to onboard institutions who we already had information from before who are going to be using or allowing people to be able to use cryptocurrencies as a payment method within their company infrastructure whenever you buy things with them. So then the Winklevis came out with that. The entire point of R3 is about 8,000, huge number, 8,000 times more than what the Winklevoss twins are actually trying to do with Flexa and Spedin. This is meant to be a payment option. You can go into the store, I want to buy a latte, and you scan your phone, you can pay with so and so and so. But even then, it's still kind of, in my opinion, it still lacks. The Winklevis in the very beginning, years ago, I believe in 2012 or 2013, were some of the first people to come out in support of Bitcoin, and they made sure to note on multiple news outlets, you can definitely find it as well. Type in Winklevoss 1% Bitcoin. This was in 2012 or 13. They made sure to announce that they actually owned, or I assure you they still own it, 1% of all the Bitcoin. And I am certain, no actual news on this, but one can assume if they started buying Bitcoin when it was $1, they were probably buying up Litecoin when it was around 1 cent. So I assume that they also have an enormous amount of Litecoin. A number of other investors out there were also noted for having bought Ethereum when it was $1, and I assume the Winklevis have also done the exact same thing. And also at the exact same time, when Bitcoin did fork and create Bcash, they probably are still in possession of those 200,000 Bcash, if not a bit more, because one can assume if they had 200,000 before that, they were probably going to buy many more, even when Bitcoin hit $5, $10, $3,000, they were probably still buying the entire way through. So I wonder exactly how much Bitcoin they have. The point is, every single time that the people from, well, those two, the Winklevis, decide to do something in the cryptocurrency space, it's always very sluggish. It's always very boring. And someone told me before that there was a method to their madness, that they were doing this. It was kind of the slow and steady wins the race type thing. And I didn't believe that. I don't know what their game is. I'm not exactly sure what the goal is in their cryptocurrency lives. But whenever they launch something, no matter what it is, no matter where they are, they only have things. It's usually just Bitcoin, Ether, and Bcash, and now Flexa coin. And on top of that as well, I don't have all the proper information. I didn't really expect to ramble on about R3 and the Winklevis here, but I'm pretty sure that the R3 Corda is interoperable with multiple other cryptocurrencies. I think Ripple has a huge partnership with them to be able to use, I think it's RippleNet in some sort of way to be able to send cash payments around the world. So it's a very weird, the people from R3 have already gotten into, permeated, are already in other countries, other offices, other so-and-so and so. But every single time that, I don't know why, I don't think I dislike the Winklevoss twins. I think that everything they do is just so dry. It drives me completely insane that they just haven't really figured out how to, like, it's great that they've expanded into Canada, but these other companies, they announce on a weekly basis, yeah, we've opened up in 15 other countries, we've done so and so and so, and it's like, why the slow pace? I have a very strong idea that in about 5 or 6 years, I'm certain that Flexa and maybe even Spedin and maybe even the Gemini exchange will still be around, but they just won't be popular. There was I remember years ago when the Gemini twins were talking about launching their own cryptocurrency exchange, they were talking about how it was going to be the best and the coolest and the largest. And no one uses Gemini. It's kind of just not even really there. Anyway, right. I've rambled on for far too long, but let us move on. To kind of finish things off, we were talking about a day or two ago about the Bitcoin Fear Index. The fall in the index correlated with Bitcoin's dump below $10,000, which marks the fourth time since the rally began. Bitcoin has been in four figures. The platform derives its index data from five factors: volatility, market, momentum, volume, social media, surveys, dominance, and trends. Research director at The Block, Larry Cermak, observes that 2/3 of Coinbase customers with large Bitcoin holdings have actually been buying over the past 24 hours. He said, interestingly, according to Coinbase's data, 67% of customers with large Bitcoin holdings, the top 10%, are buying rather than selling in the last 24 hours. Here's the actual tweet right here. He followed up with 88% of Coinbase customers with large XRP holdings are buying rather than selling in the last 24 hours. Considering that XRP prices fell to the lowest levels in almost a year, over the past few hours, it would indicate a lot of dip buying is going on. I saw a number of people on Twitter also mentioning this as well. People were asking why there had been such a huge amount of fear in the market. Remember, I was talking about the fear index, and I think it was a number 11. It was on extreme fear. And I said even during 2018, we didn't have a dip into extreme fear, which I feel like we should have had if we went from $20,000 to $3,200. The point being, over the last week, a lot of the sentiment about the market, because we have not been able to touch 14,000, has grown into a very negative kind of space, and we're getting a lot more of those people coming out of the woodworks talking about Bitcoin going back to 2,000, Bitcoin going back to $300, and this is very wide negativity. And I keep mentioning to people, the news that we have isn't negative. We only get news about expansion, continued adoption, infrastructure increase. This is partnering with this. This is so and so and so. They have plans for this. This may not have launched, but it plans on launching sometime within the next couple of weeks. This plans on launching in October. This plans on launching at the end of the year. It's only been a stream of good news, and I think, I don't want to assume, but I feel like a large part of the people who are actually paying attention, who are buying up while prices are where they are people who already have tons of Bitcoin. And this is another discussion that I think we're going to have relatively soon about the actual spread of Bitcoin and the spread of wealth. For those of you who were not here in 2015 and 16, especially 2016, there was a major thing as Bitcoin's. There wasn't a lot of movement in the cryptocurrency space, but the huge discussion is that there was a huge amount of disparity in the actual spread of Bitcoin wealth. Why that was happening, we also had a lot of news stories as well. Had a lot of news stories as well that were covering, I forgot exactly what the numbers were, but it was like, I think the top 2% of wallets held nearly all the Bitcoin, and this was holding all the Bitcoin, and they were looking at the top wallets, and there were multiple wallets that had over 300,000 Bitcoin and so thousand Bitcoin, and the smallest wallets had barely anything. Is because I feel like no matter how much you can see in front of you, no matter if the road looks completely clear, even if you see some cracks on it, and you know that you can just walk over the cracks and you see that everything is going to be great in the future, people still refuse to buy, and people don't buy until they see that the prices have gone back up from where they were before. How many people, very few people, were actually buying Bitcoin when it hit 3,200, even when it was at 4,000, even when it was at 5,000, because they kept on thinking that the price was either going to go lower, or they saw that the price was going to go lower and they didn't want to buy into it because they were like, okay, Bitcoin's dead, Bitcoin's over. But the moment that Bitcoin went over 6,000, Bitcoin hit 7,000, Bitcoin hit 8,500, and the market started going back up, these same exact people who had the opportunity to buy double, triple what they could have bought before weren't actually buying any. This is not me telling you to go out there and buy Bitcoin, but simply that the people who, and I mentioned this many times, the people who are already rich are going to be even richer and are going to continue to be the richest people on this planet because they continue buying when markets go down. I was even watching something yesterday where they were talking about that a lot of larger players in the stock market are actually trying to buy the dips as well. It may not work for them, but they're still trying to buy some of the dips because they realize that it's a great buying opportunity. And many other companies as well are also buying back their own stocks, which is also making the company even richer. As it's very fascinating how things play out in the financial world. Prices can go down, and it scares a huge portion of the population gets completely terrified. And then on the other end of it, when prices end up going down, you have people who are buying up huge amounts of it because they probably see the long term. Remember when I was talking about before how we keep at least twice a week, we have analysts or we have analytics from other people, huge amounts of people who used to work for Deutsche Bank, people used to work for JP Morgan, like all these huge analysts who help the company make millions and millions of dollars through all of their charts and stuff like that. And they've been charting out the price of Bitcoin. And they said, if the price of Bitcoin remains on its current path, yeah, we definitely see a $135,000 Bitcoin over the next 2 or 3 years. And it's like, if it had only been just one person saying that, I would have been like, okay, that's kind of weird. Okay, could be cool. But every single analyst has been coming out, like 135 is like a conservative number for the next couple of years. We're getting these people talking about that they definitely see a $1 million Bitcoin over the next 10 years. So I understand that everyone doesn't have the money on hand at the moment, but I wonder if people out there, especially people listening to the videos, have been selling whenever prices do a little dip. I know that I've seen people talking before about dollar costing in, averaging, all this other stuff, I think a lot of people, I feel like the majority of people in my experience from what I've seen have either been people who are trying to become professional traders who keep thinking that they can sell at the right moment and buy at the correct moment, or people who are, I think they simply get afraid very easily. And I understand why there's a fear, but I think the longer that you're in the cryptocurrency space, you will realize that none of this matters. Like the volatility, the jumping up and down is just people trying to accumulate more cryptocurrencies. And I've always, I don't know, I guess I have my own ideas on how the market plays out or how it will play out. But we're definitely seeing a huge, we will see indications. And we're August. Either by the end, if Bitcoin has hit $50,000 by the end of this year, big IF, or 50,000 plus by the time we're getting closer to the reward being cut in half, we're going to see an enormous amount of news from everywhere talking about Bitcoin going up, Bitcoin is scarce, and then we're going to start seeing those same exact news articles that we saw in 2017 about like a Bitcoin rich list. And I assume it's going to be the same exact people who we saw before. We'll see a couple of new names, but we're going to start to see articles talking about the wealth disparity in Bitcoin and how only the mega rich are owning Bitcoin. And I think it's chalked up to the fact that so many people keep buying altcoins that they shouldn't be buying, or they're selling Bitcoin when there's no need to actually sell. So imagine a future where, like, there was some guy, what was it, a couple of months ago, I think he had about 500 Bitcoin and he was trying to trade it and do all this other stuff, and he traded so bad that I think he has like 3 Bitcoin left, which is, I mean, that 3 Bitcoin is still a lot more than billions of other people on this planet will ever have. But imagine that situation where you had Bitcoin, you were trying to trade with it, you kept on losing Bitcoin, you didn't buy Bitcoin when the price was low enough. And imagine a future, imagine this. And I hope my friend is listening. If he knows exactly who he is. We talk about this world all the time. Imagine a future in 11 years where Bitcoin is worth 1.5 million per coin and you have none of it. And you look at the news and you see that all these people buying new houses, like you know, there's going to be a TV show called Bitcoin Rich. There's a TV show in every single country, every single language, where they show all these people who are super wealthy, buying new houses, buying new boats, being on I saw one a couple days ago. It was this guy. He was so rich. He had, I think, 9 women on a plane with him. It was why 9? It was the number that he wanted. But you'll definitely start seeing stuff like this. And we're also going to, the world will be completely different. Imagine a concentration of wealth unlike anything that we've ever seen. At least we know that the governments can continue printing money in a sort of way that everyone, in essence, can kind of have a fraction of the pie. Imagine something that has 21 million units ever that we won't get to the year 2140. 6 million are lost and gone forever. We know that multiple people already own 200,000, 150,000, 300,000, so-and-so and so 1,000. Who was that other guy who owns 1,500? That other person who bought, what was it? He bought 1,000 of them with his money that he got from his birthday years and years ago. All these people who have thousands of different, amounts of Bitcoin. And then you sit there like, well, I wish I could have had some. I wish I could have been part of that. You know how many times I've seen things like that when I told friends before to buy into stocks, to buy into so-and-so, to buy into certain real estate. I've seen real estate, and it's been so obvious to me in many places around the world, and I mean around the world. And I tell people, you should maybe look into that. You should maybe look into so-and-so. I had a friend who told me, I'll never forget, years ago, to buy in this dilapidated area, and I thought he was completely insane, and they completely changed my mindset, because you could have bought a studio for $19,000 in that place. Studios now go around $250,000. I'll never forget it. Completely changed my mindset about life. The point is, we're going to get to a point very, very quick where we see an unequal distribution of Bitcoin wealth, and it's going to be because people aren't buying when they should be buying. People are continuously waiting for prices to go higher, and then you end up kicking yourself. Why didn't I buy before? We were just talking about that a couple days ago. How many people, everyone has had these moments. Everyone. It goes across the board. Why didn't I buy Bitcoin in 2010? Why didn't I know about Bitcoin in 2010? Why didn't I buy Bitcoin in 2012, 2013? I remember hearing about Bitcoin, and my friend bought some in 2015. Why didn't I buy about 5 of them? I remember when Bitcoin was $900 in 2017. Why didn't I buy in it when it was at 900 and it went to 20,000? We're going to see the same exact thing. If Bitcoin is floating around 9,000, somewhere around there right now, imagine hitting a $500,000 Bitcoin, even if it takes 10 years, and you having none of it. It's very odd. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. You know exactly what I'm talking about, but don't be surprised. Do not be surprised in 3 years when Bitcoin's price is at some new crazy all-time high, and Bitcoin has this and so, and Bitcoin is blah, 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 blah. And we hear about the unequal distribution that's already starting to begin and is going to continue happening. And some of the richest people on this planet who are going to become the first trillionaires are the people who were buying during these dips. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's far too obvious where Bitcoin is going, where Bitcoin is headed, and potentially even what Bitcoin is going to be worth in the next couple of years. And I will say this again. I think it is necessary for everyone out there to reevaluate if Bitcoin should be part of their portfolio, or if they should be acquiring more Bitcoin so that it is even more part of their portfolio. I said once again, I understand that not everyone has the money. I get it. I grew up poor as well. Everyone may not have the money to be able to put into Bitcoin, but I do remember as a child and even as a teenager buying things that I did not need. And I wish at some point that I had simply bought Google stock or just some Amazon stock, something along those lines. So if you ever find money that you don't need, the candy bar you don't need, the third television, the new rims for your car, the new, oh gosh, I get so annoyed. What are these little things? The Apple EarPods? I hate them. I hate looking at them. I had a friend last year, even before that, he was asking me, should he buy cryptocurrencies? And I said, yeah. I told him, I forgot what coins I told him to buy. I think Bitcoin was one of the main ones. Next week, I saw him. He said he didn't have the money. And he digs in his pocket, but he did have these little things that he used to listen to music. I think I forgot what the price was. I think they were $250, $249. I forgot exactly how much they cost. And then he ended up losing them. And that was money that completely went down the drain. And then the next week, he ended up buying a new pair. So the point is, I'm done talking about this. Let's continue on. You get exactly what I'm saying. You know exactly what I mean. As always, an enormously gigantimous thank you to my Patreon supporters. Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Mohair Maroney, Master Ventures in Thailand, Brady Niels, Woody and Daisy, Triple M and J, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Crypto Joe, Bankroll Network, Adobo, Milweezy, JR, Mechanic, Strange Radio Central, Crypto Artist, Cole D3D, Cryptopolis, Nicholas, One Earth, One Peace, One Love, Damien, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hits Chest Day, Miller Hits Chest Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day. I think I said all of those correctly. There was one I was supposed to have done something to, and I hope I did it properly. Sorry if I didn't. You know who you are out there, one of my supporters. They asked me to do something, and I hope I did it correctly. If not, I apologize. I'm human. I'll try to make sure to correct it. Anyway, the point is, the market right now, for those who are not looking at the screen, is a bit all over the place. Bitcoin is currently at 9,931 US dollars on this price metric website. Last night, Bitcoin was, I think, $10,300. And I tried and almost panicked and tried to buy some more. I was like, it's happening, the price is going up. I assume we're going to be around this number for a while. Unless something crazy changes by midday or sometime later on, I don't assume that we're going to 12,000 anytime today. I could see a good 10,600. I could see a really random, weird pop-up in price. But as of right now, many of the altcoins are not where they were before. People thought or were saying that Ethereum had to stay above $200 to maintain its position. It is currently at 182. XRP is at 25 cents. People were stating before that not the threshold, the support level was 30 cents. Litecoin is also below $100. I told you that the race to a $300-400 Litecoin was not going to happen after the reward got cut in half. I think Litecoin will be a late bloomer. If that makes any sense. I think as prices go up, to be fair, we are already holding steady above higher prices than where we even could have possibly thought about being before. Litecoin in 2017 was $4, and then it went to $300. So one can only assume if we are currently at 73, if we ended up hitting a $100 Litecoin before, I believe during the next massive bull run, Litecoin will probably hit around $1,000. If it was $300 before, the reward has been cut in half. More people have been buying Litecoin. Time has gone on. More people know about Litecoin, and Litecoin hasn't fallen back down to the $4 level. $1,000 Litecoin is probably within the realm of possibility. Binance Coin is always, it's its own entity. Whatever they announce, whatever something is going on, Binance Coin ends up going up. There's not really much to really focus on there. Yeah, every coin is either up or down, anywhere between 1 to 3 to 4%. Nothing miraculous happening in the market. It looks like there are a few buying opportunities. A lot of coins that I would have purchased before, I would not be buying them right now. And for the sake of me not having to make an entirely new video, I will tell you things that I would have purchased before, but I have no intent of purchasing them right now, regardless if they do end up going through an alt season. For those of you who don't know, first of all, someone asked me to make a video on this before. I only focus at the moment on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. These three are the strongest, in my opinion, that have the strongest fundamentals for being able to potentially go the highest or give me the best profits as the future goes on. I also think they have the longest sense of longevity within themselves, simply because how Ripple is a massive company. Ethereum has the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, and Bitcoin is Bitcoin. There's not really much more to say about that. Things that I would have purchased before, but I'm definitely not going to be investing in anytime soon because I'm paying attention to the other ones. Binance Coin, I plan on buying some Binance Coin. I think Binance Coin will do extremely well. Not going to focus on it. EOS is always a 50-50 to me. I think the price is incredibly low. I think EOS will probably hit a $40 coin at some point over the next year. But even then, I think of would I rather purchase EOS or would I rather purchase Bitcoin? And I usually side with Bitcoin. SV will never be in my portfolio ever. I stay away from privacy coins because governments don't like them. I'm not buying Lumens. Cardano's also a 50-50. Don't hate me out there. It's the fact that I need to see Shelly activated this year. I'm tired of hearing about Shelly. I'm tired of hearing that Shelly is coming. Shelly is on its way. Shelly is Shelly, and then we get no Shelly. Tron is a no for me. Dash, private coin, no. Chainlink, definitely not. I thought about buying Tezos, and I'll tell you why. The amount of interest around Tezos was really fascinating to me, especially as Coinbase was adding it, and they announced that they were going to have the Tezos staking functionality. And I think it was Laura Shin on one of the Unchained something podcasts where she was talking about the actual potential future usage of Tezos. Or rather, I think she had someone from Tezos on her platform, and they were talking about how the future is going to be people won't rely as much on dividends anymore from stocks. You know, you may have a 2% dividend, a 4% dividend, a 6% dividend. Woo, that's really huge. But with cryptocurrencies, especially where you can tell mathematically exactly how much is going to happen, you get a set number every single year of exactly how much you would get from the dividend. So it would normally start out around, not saying exclusively for Tezos, it would start at around 15%, go down to 11%, 7%, and then float around and go to 3 to 5% for the rest of the blockchain's existence, which is kind of cool. But even then, Bitcoin or Tezos, my thumb is only pointing one way. Neo is a definite no for me. IOTA, at one point I tried. If you even look at their 24-hour volume, they have a $5 million volume. Ethereum Classic has $429 million of volume. IOTA has 5. At one point, I tried to root for IOTA. I thought they were that's not to say that they can't potentially do very well in the future. But I definitely think that I've moved away from the project. I think I owned a few IOTA. I don't even know. They haven't integrated into all those other self-driving car, self-electricity, blah, blah, blah car networks. But I don't see that much for them anymore. Ethereum Classic, no. And I'm pretty sure you can guess going down the line, everything else is a no. Zcash, no. VeChain Thor, no. Bitcoin Gold, no. I still have Omise Go. I'm not going to sell my Omise Go. And I'll be honest with you, if I come into possession of a good 350 Canadian dollars, I would probably put a third of that into Omise Go, just because I'm still curious to see if they're going to be able to create plasma, which is going to help them and Ethereum have 1 million transactions per second. Besides that, all of my focus goes onto the top coins. Just wanted to make sure to mention that without making it its own video. Because a lot of people have been asking me, what am I buying during these dips and as prices are kind of where they are? I will, for a very long time, be focusing on the top 3. Litecoin, I wish I could. I really wish I could. For me, it's more like a Bitcoin is the older brother, Litecoin is the younger brother. I'd rather focus more on the number 1 than the number 5. Not to say the Litecoin won't do extremely well. It has $3 billion worth of volume. There's clearly interest there, but I have to step back from it and kind of focus on the top 3. And once again, my opinion may change. That's how humans work. Our minds are always different and things change from day to day. If we get news by the end of this year that the people from NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, and Fidelity and TD Ameritrade have launched support for Lumens, for Tron, for Tezos, for Neo, for IOTA, and for Maker, and they put all these things onto their platform and people are trading these and they have billions of dollars flowing through them on a monthly basis, I will probably buy these coins because that means they're probably going to be on these platforms for many years to come. But at the moment, I try to focus on what logically is going to make it. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great morning, great afternoon, a great day, a great evening, a great summer, a great winter, a great anything wherever you are in the world. I do hope that it's absolutely incredible. Thank you all, every single one of you, for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.